I I feel like I have to shake off the last series that we did, talking about Andrew Huberman. Some of you guys have been, I mean, if I realize, like, if you're new, you're like, well, does she condone cheating? No, I don't. I condone traditional marriage. I condone you wait till marriage to have bedtime fun, and then um, you get married. Like, that's the ideal, right? Anyway, obviously, I'm not condoning what Andrew Huberman did. I just think he shouldn't have lost his job and all that stuff. But, anyways, having said that, welcome back to Far From Eden. It's good to have you here. If you're new, welcome. I encourage you to see some of the other videos because there's going to be some missing context. We kind of have a community going here, and we're, of course, welcoming, trying to reach more men so that if you don't know the truth of what's actually out there, you can learn it and then have a place to talk about it. That's the idea, anyways. So I thought let's shift gears and let's talk about, like, it's so messy out there. This whole thing with you know, side chicks and, you know, it's just such a mess. No wonder there are no wives, right? No wonder men are walking away, because what are they supposed to be walking towards? Maybe they're not walking away. Maybe, maybe the women left because it's like, are they even women anymore? So I thought, let's watch a man reacts video. He does great work. I encourage everybody to go and sub his channel and take in as much content as you can stomach, because sometimes it's a little off-putting, but it's definitely, you're definitely going to see some truth going on. And I want to sort of help decode maybe some of these women. I haven't seen the video. I saw like little snippets to know that it was a good video to react to, but otherwise I'm going in blind with y'all. So let's get going. Hopefully I'll remember how to do this. Everybody who's been around knows that technology and me are not good friends. Not at all. All right, let's check it out.
You don't make enough to provide for us anymore, so we have to get out there in the workforce.
Right, because you voted for laws that give the jobs to you instead of to us. You know that, right? You have to know about this, right? Women have been saying for decades, they've been saying, we get 77 cents on the... Women want to get paid equal. They don't want to work equal. They just want to get paid equal. So they went to the government and they voted for the government to make things equal. And now that things are equal, women have raised their standards, and they're saying men can't provide anymore. You voted for that.
Okay. First thing, no, they don't know it. They don't know it. And also, all the men who are like, I'm fine if my wife has a job. Okay, let's talk about them. Let's talk about the Daily Wire guys. They are such a good example of men who are living in a dream world that hasn't yet crashed down around them because they have money and etc. Their wives haven't gotten to the midlife crisis yet where they're going to blow it all up. However, and I hope that doesn't happen for their sake, for their children's sake. But I don't know. I've seen too much. But the men that say, oh, my wife can have a job. Every time you are, this is going to be extreme. Every time that you're okay with, the woman working, you're okay with this. This just, I'm sorry, it's math. Math isn't mean, and math isn't nice, women. It's facts, and women tend to feel like facts are mean. And yeah, they don't know this. And I think most men don't know it either. That, it was basically voted, and this is why salaries have gone down. because it gives, it gives all the advantage to the company. They have twice as many people vying for the same job. So the power is with them instead of the man who was the head of the family who could, leverage a better salary. And here's where we are. So let's continue with the garden utensil math.
You know that, right? The government takes money from men and gives it to corporations if they meet diversity quotas. So we are being forced to pay to put ourselves out of work so you can be equal. Men and women don't put the same amount of effort into the workplace, and so they get different rewards out of it. But women wanted to make it equal. When men made more, women could find men who made more. But now women are making more, and they can't find men who make more. But it's not because you're running faster than us, it's because you voted to redistribute the trophies. So my money goes to the government, and the government gives that money to corporations. And then when I apply for a job, the corporation says, you may not have that job. We need more women to satisfy our government free money requirements. So you want men to pay, but you voted to take away our ability to do that. You can only have two of these. You can have equal pay by law, men take care of you, and the eligible men are loyal. If all of you are going after a few guys, then the eligible guys are going to have access to lots of women. So if you want equal pay by law and men to pay for everything, all of you are going to be going after just this section. So if you stopped voting for money to go like that, then we would still have more money to be able to spend on you.
We are too dumb to recognize that we have voted against our own interests. Understand this. We are so dumb that we thought it's a better plan for us to go out and labor for a company away from our home, away from our children, right? For someone else, a stranger who doesn't care about us. We should do that, right? Doing things that, for the most part, we don't like and we don't enjoy. That's a better deal than having someone who loves us and cares for us provide all of the financial that we would ever need. And then the deal is not, oh, I just get to sit back. No, not that. But we actually bring value to have that. Now, is it equal value? There's going to be a lot of, there's not a lot, but there's going to be some men out there that are like, I don't need that. I can clean for myself and cook for myself. That's fine. But that's not the total value that a real wife would bring. We're just so distanced from a real wife that a lot of men, younger men, can't even conceive of the concept. But we have voted against our own interests. But we also are terrible at admitting when we're wrong. So we're stuck in this stupid situation. I would love to be able to force women to sit down and watch this. I would love it.
This situation is like a dog that wants you to throw a ball, but it won't drop it. We want men to pay. Okay, let me go get a job. No, you can't have that. That's for women. We need equality. Okay, then go date the men who have more money. Where have all the good men gone? I mean, you have to know about this, right? Everyone knows this, right? Please tell me that you knew this.
Feminism has really made it impossible for women to grasp the true nature of equality because it constantly bombards women with this thought that they need to be independent and that they don't need any men in their lives.
I'd rather pay a prostitute so she leaves when we're done. rather than sit here and put a bunch of money into a chick and then taking her out for nice dinners, buying her shit, and you get the same result in the end anyway. She's still paying for pussy.
Feminism uses popular.
It's that type of man that I was talking about, has no idea of the value of a real wife and no, idea that there are any, or maybe he does, but he's resigned himself to the fact that there are none out there, and I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him at all. That was a bit vulgar for my tastes. But I also know that femininity tempers men, and we don't have that. There's so many men that, where have they ever seen true femininity? They don't see it. It's not in our world, All right, let's continue with man reaction.
Popular culture such as movies, television series, documentaries, talk shows, the news, books, music, comic books, podcasts, social media, and social media influencers to perpetuate this thought that a woman who spends her prime years laboring in offices and building wealth are real women, and that they're the women every other woman should follow the example of.
Women hate men because men oppress, harass, assault, rape, and abuse women. Men have made women hate them. If you have negative experiences with men, some people will jump to the conclusion of using that to paint all men. If you get bitten by a dog, do you view all dogs as a threat?
Yeah, they do. A lot of people do. They do. They'll literally be bitten by a dog and then think it's all dogs. So it is stupid logic. I agree with that, but they do that. I don't know that it's the best example. I forgot her name, but she, I know, is conservative, but not quite. She's not Christian. So yeah, women will do that because here's why. Here's why they do that. They will get hurt or broken up with or what have you. Something will happen, and then in their brains, they will view it a certain way because of all of the songs and the movies and the crime shows and everything. They take that experience and they put it into that narrative that they don't know. They've basically downloaded into their brain. And so therefore, they're like, there you go. And that's where you get the all men are dogs, all men are this, all men are that. It's ridiculous. It's not logical, but I mean, that's us.
Probably not. We have to inject nuance into our conversations. And at the end of the day, I think these women are doing it in their personal lives. I do think they are looking for men. I do think they have brothers and fathers and uncles and cousins who they would characterize as being good men. So they know that there are men out there that exist, just maybe in their personal experiences, they've yet to receive that. And there's something to be said for maturing out of this mentality as well. In their probably 30s and 40s, they're going to come to realize, oh yeah, well, not all men. I hate to say not all men, but yeah, not all men are like this. It's just a simple fact. It's the truth.
So
why does she hate to say not all men? Why do you hate to say that? It's clearly true. Like even the little blue hairs of feminism come popping out. Of course not all men. Of course not. Are you crazy? Like, of course not all men. And I will tell you, she's partially right about the, what about your uncles, your father, your brothers, etc. The problem is so many of them have been alienated from their fathers, whether they are or whether their parents are or are not divorced. They still can be alienated from them, the things their mothers have said. So the best way I have found when I speak to women, the best way I have found to get them to understand what's going on out there is to give them some examples of real life stories, because we know they love the anecdotes. As like, it's easier for women to understand anecdotes than it is to understand statistics. So you give them the statistics, you give them the anecdotes, And then as soon as you feel the pushback, like where they sort of want to side with, yeah, those men are bad, you start to point out when they say a broad statement about men, and you wait long enough, they will. They just will. They'll do what they're trained to do, what their brainwashing trains them to do. They'll do it. You point out to them, well, would you say that about your dad? If she has a good relationship with him, would you say that about your brother? The most powerful way to roll back the whole situation with women, for them to see the way that women have been treating men, the best way for them to wake up is for them to see how their sons are treated. For them to say, okay, show them the way the system works. Show them that their sons aren't going to get the job. Show them that their sons are going to get their kids taken away. Show them. And that is going to shake them. I've seen like comments in different areas of women who are sort of looking for advice because their son is dealing with a baby mama who won't let him see the child. And guess what? The courts are siding with her. So the shoe's on the other foot. That's the only thing. It has to affect them. And it affects them through their children. It'll be more effective than having them think of their father, their brother, their uncles, is when their sons are hurt by this. Oops, sorry. Okay, let's continue.
So, modern women around the world must realize that life's not just about making money, generating wealth, starting businesses, and climbing the corporate ladder. Because women have the leverage of not doing any of that, and still live the best lives with their partners who are happy to be providers, and even happier when they have wives who give birth to beautiful children, and together, they raise their families. I think there's a reason people were happier back in the day, and I think that the reason was that people used to stick to certain roles in life, and not get worked up on chasing things that they weren't meant to chase. There will come a time in a decade when having a man will be considered a luxury for women, mark my words. Why do these women believe they can live their entire lives without men? That's the important question. Men who have built the infrastructures around them, and men who have advanced science, technology, and human civilization, these are the same women who live off of divorce settlements and then marry other wealthier men to only leave them for the next one. The ability for males to make their own decisions should excite feminists who advocate gender equality. It's similar to a bunch of males who treat women with the same level of disdain that men are frequently shown by women. But regrettably, they opt for excellent results rather than exceptionally high accountability. The only way to ensure a high-quality outcome is to acquire the heart and mentality of a man who works harder than they do and provides for them throughout his life. Why should men still be here if women don't require their support and protection? Women want men to remain by their side, take care of them, and listen to their issues.
Right. I often think that it's like, well, if you don't need no man and you aren't looking for a provider, like, what do you want him for? And I think you guys are wondering that too. Like, what do you want me for? And yeah, like they want you to be their emotional tampon and their companion. They want you to be their bestie. That's not what men want. Like, but the women don't think about what the men want. It's irrelevant to them. It doesn't even cross their minds. It's crazy to see these clips. Like I saw that clip of Melanie Griffith in Working Girl. I remember that movie. And now I see that clip and I think, yeah, right. Like Harrison Ford is going to be interested in her. This woman who's like, maybe for bedtime fun, but like, that's not going to be anything. And by the way, she already knows or does she know? I don't know, but he's been having bedtime fun with her boss because he's a high-level executive, I think, in marketing or something like that. So, I mean, oh my gosh, the women are always competing for the best men. We have always done that since the beginning of time. It's just we weren't allowed to, put out. It's crazy where it's gotten.
But they also want men to believe that they are not dependent on them. With the promise of freedom from males, feminism has devastated the majority of Western women. Women need males more than they realize because they are unhappy at work and are turning into crazy, lonesome cat ladies. But they won't confess it as long as it is taboo to do so. In the future decades, as our culture gets more conservative, they will eventually come to recognize it. The fact that women feel entitled might be understandable from some aspects, but the fact that they feel too entitled,
I'm sorry, becomes more conservative, will come to recognize it. I don't think so. How? What's the catalyst that makes us recognize that we need men? The only thing I can see that would make us recognize that we need men is the removal of the fakery. The things that make us think that we are independent, like subsidies, like quotas at jobs. You start taking those cushy jobs away that we don't deserve and we don't earn. You start taking those away. You start taking the subsidies away. Women might say, uh-oh. But when you have all those things and they can think they're doing it, it's just, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of, like, if you have a little child and they say that fire truck visits the school that day, and they're all like, they all get the plastic fire hats and they get to be special firemen, blah blah blah, and the little 5-year-old kid is like, I'm the fireman, and really believes it, and you're like, yes you are. I feel like that's what we're doing out there, and all these enablers, you can call them the 4-letter word that starts with an S and ends with a P and has an IM in the middle that probably YouTube hates. But I don't know why I'm saying that, because this video says all. But all the simpy men have been basically telling them, yes you are, you're kicking butt at work right now, look at you. Stop it. But when that goes away, the only time that we will ever recognize that we need men is when there's no other choice. That's what I think. And I hate it, but I think it's true. I think we're that stubborn and that pride, the pride of a woman that is underestimated.
entitled, which means they feel entitled just because that's how it is the topic of discussion and debate here. And it is even more so because society has jumped on the woke feminist bandwagon that calls for equality in every aspect of life, and yet continues to support women to feel entitled to everything a man does, earns, and produces is just perplexing, to say the least. Women, even today, expect everything to be taken care by a man, but still march the streets with banners for equality on the other. It's clear to see that modern women are incredibly confused. They fall hard into the feminism trap and don't know how to get out of it. It's beyond me how women feel they can trample on society and men and believe the world still owes them love and respect. All of these women got a rude but necessary awakening.
Oh yeah, the way they can do it is they just continuously paint themselves as victims in one way or another, and everyone knows the victim isn't the bad guy. So 1, 2, 3, not it.
To what real life is about, and how you can't mess with other people just because you feel like it. These women were humbled because they completely deserved it. Another thing that's striking here is that these women don't even realize they're doing something wrong. They're so incredibly entitled that they think whatever they're doing is completely normal. Their entitlement is totally unwarranted, as one woman asked what men bring to the table. And kudos to the guy who told her exactly what men bring to the table. What happens is that when these women reach the age of 40, they realize they're already past their biological clocks and will probably not be having children anymore. With this, they keep...
You would hope, but they're out there and they're not realizing that at 40. They are, because do you know what we see? Do you know what gets sent as like ads for our social media? It's women in their 40s looking amazing and doing all these things and having babies, like Gwen Stefani having a baby supposedly at like 45 or something. It's like, did she? I don't know. And if she did, that was a lot of medical help. We don't even know if that really happened. You know, I don't trust anything I see. I really don't. Everything has an agenda. A commercial, they're not just selling you a product, they're selling you this is how you should be and this is how you should think. So, but that is what we are seeing. I mean, y'all, I did part of a video about Dolly Parton in her 70s in a Dallas Cowgirls cheerleading outfit. And we women are, I mean, it was all over my Facebook feed because that's the social media, I guess, that and YouTube that I have. And I'm like, every 5 seconds, it was Dolly Parton in this cheerleader outfit in her 70s and just talking about how sexy she looked and all this stuff. And I'm like, first of all, ew. And secondly, I know what they're doing here. They're trying to convince women that, you know, they're still hot or hotter, you know, old, 40s, whatever. And women are constantly thinking, oh, I still have time. I still have time. Never underestimate a woman's ability to delude herself. It's incredible. It should be for, you know, imagination and playtime with small kids, not what's going on here.
Keep repeating the same mantra that they don't need any men in their lives. But as the years go by, they start to realize they really don't have any purpose in life. And the companies they'd been laboring away for don't really care about them because they can fire or lay off these women at any given time. The biggest example of this is the recent tech layoffs that we say in the United States, and then consequently the rest of the world. And so, it's only then when they know they cannot go back in time and do this over again, they realize how they'd wasted away their lives solely concentrating on money, building wealth, investing, and chasing corporate ladders. They realize all the money they have now in their bank accounts, they don't even have anyone to spend that money on. They don't know what to do with their investment, except perhaps make more and earn more. They don't have any children to pass it on. They don't have any children to pass on their knowledge, wisdom, and all the things they learned in life. The only thing they did in their lives was live to make.
Women don't think like that, sadly. They don't think about passing on a legacy. They don't think about that. They don't. They are very self-serving. Men think about legacy. He's thinking like a man, and he's sort of projecting that to like, well, women will come to realize this. It'll become completely obvious. Sir, they will just be victims, and they'll just say that they were wrongly fired and that the world hates them and it's not fair and it's the patriarchy. And if they start to regret not having children, that'll be somebody else's fault too. They're not going to wake up and realize, they're not going to wake up and all of a sudden start thinking like a man and start regretting not having legacy. Sadly, women literally don't think of that. I think this is why, you know, God made us in such a way that like when we have bedtime fun, it makes a baby. And, you know, birth control is so brand new. It's so brand new. It's brand new. It was just in the 60s. And I get it. There might have been this way or that way in family planning, but come on. Men have needs and men got married. And that means women got pregnant. And how much? However much they got pregnant. And they had a bunch of babies. This whole no children, one child, silly. It's not reality. It's unnatural. But no, women don't think about legacy and plan to have children. And think about it. Children just was a thing that we were going to have. We didn't like decide. Men have that drive, legacy, you know, passing it forward, etc. That is your all's brains. I wish it was in our brains. I would love to tell you that, but it's not. And I don't hear any other woman saying this, but it's not. It's not a consideration. Honestly, you know, it's interesting. It was a consideration for me when I was younger because I thought about my father's legacy and that he had no sons that lived. So I was actually told the name would die with me. And I remember thinking, well, gosh, that's right, because when I grow up and get married and have kids, it'll be my husband's last name. It won't be my last name. And I felt bad. I felt guilty because my parents should have never said it that way to me. It's not like it's my fault. But I did feel a responsibility. Like I should somehow figure out how to carry on the name. So in that way, it was the only way. But do you see that? It was for my father. I never once thought, what about my legacy? I don't think it's in us. I don't think that's in our design.
Make money. And sure, that's something they did. But then what? Thousands of other people do that as well. When those people die, they're forgotten in a matter of days and months. They don't even have anyone to visit their graves. They're literally forgotten. Even the companies they worked for all of their lives replace them within a month or two. Sure, they might have coworkers and friends, but all of them are busy living and making memories with their partners and children. Throughout their lives, men are supposed to do everything for women and literally dedicate their lives to providing for, protecting, and helping women. And you know what? Men do that with a lot of joy, and it brings them a lot of satisfaction when they know they're being the providers. It gives them a solid purpose because they know they're doing justice to what the universe meant for them to do. They do it proudly because that's in their nature. I'm talking about high-value men, not a simp who starts crying if he gets rejected by a girl. But the question is, why is it that women expect everything from a man, especially when all they can do now is talk about equality and how men have oppressed them and controlled them? It's quite true that modern women have become too entitled.
I'll answer that question. They think they can expect everything from a man because they're under some impression that they actually are bringing value to him. I know. What? What? Exactly, what value? And I think a lot of you men are like, what, the female body part? I mean, that's actually not what the women are thinking they're bringing to the table in a modern day marriage. They literally are thinking they're bringing to the table exactly what they would want. But the thing is, what they want is not what men want. So they think, well, I'm loving and I'm supportive and I can help and listen, and like, no, that's not what he's looking for. Selfish. They don't even know. That's the thing. Selfish people don't know they're selfish.
I said, women's entitlement is unjustified, and men really don't need to sugarcoat things for women anymore because they've clearly got the wrong idea about their role in modern society. Men need to make sure to put a woman in her place if she makes any unwarranted or untrue claim based on her overly inflated ego and entitlement.
Pride.
Today, being a strong and independent woman should actually mean a strong woman who holds the fort and watches over the house and kids without the need to be bossed around by some other man or woman at a corporation. A boss woman should be someone who's the boss of the house. An independent woman should be someone who's independent and manages things for the house.
Yeah, she's not the boss of the house. He's the boss of the house. She manages the house under his authority according to his rules and standards, etc., which is helpful because then we are not having to make those decisions day to day. We just enforce them. We just follow through with what we know he expects. Easy. Easy peasy. And so easy because he loves us. And look what we get in return. It's so much more than anything a boss could ever give you. Ridiculous. And I'm not talking about a man that makes six figures. I'm talking about a man who makes average or even below average, because what he's giving is provision. Regardless of how much that provision is, it's provision. And you have the ability to be in the home and make that provision go as far as possible. And a good wife can really stretch $1, right? But a boss babe can really spend more than that.
Designing it her way, making sure everything's as she wants it.
No.
All of this is possible if women can be okay with the fact that men are built to go out and brave the challenges of the world, suffer and hunt for work.
No, don't let your wife have things as she wants it. It's partly how we got here, sir. No. Sorry, have to push back on that a little bit.
Work and resources, just to come home to a happy wife who's completely one with her own feminine nature and not trying to be someone she's not, a man. Women need to realize that the glory is actually being in a feminine woman and that the man's life is a life that only a man can live. Thanks for watching Man Reacts. Show us your love and support by liking this video, sharing it with your friends, and subscribing to the channel.
Yes, you guys go sub Man Reacts if you haven't already. Well worth it. Wow. Yeah, I'm glad I could add my 2 cents as a woman to say, oh, well, this is actually what we're thinking and what we're not thinking, and this is how women think. It's painful, but you know, I'd rather speak the truth, honestly. So thank you guys for going through that with me, and thank you for watching. Please like if you enjoyed this video. I always forget to say that. And I love you guys. I want you guys to take care of each other in the chat. I love that you guys talk to each other like this. It's so helpful. And I know there are men that are reading the chat that don't comment. And I just, it's wonderful. I try to keep up with the comments as best I can. And I appreciate all of you. And I want you to do something that feeds your soul and know that you are important. Doesn't matter if the women see it or not. You really are. And, you know, we're in some difficult times right now in the world and in this country. And I mean, I just think it would take like nothing to suddenly have something happen where, you know, grid goes down or anything where women go, oh, darn it. You know, because women don't know how, I think that most women don't understand how precarious it is, how precarious life is, and how quickly everything can change, how delicate the electric grid is, for one thing. Do you know what I mean? How vulnerable we all actually are, and how valuable actual skills like survival and preparedness and, you know, just being able to actually protect your family, how valuable those skills are. You know, women rely on 911. And who shows up? A man. But, you know, when seconds count, cops are minutes away. And most women don't realize that. So they think they're strong and independent. I'm like, no, you're not. You're really not. You just live in a high trust society. Why? Because men built it. Anyway, I could keep talking. It's the Midwestern goodbye. You know, that's what they call it, where I can't quite say goodbye. So it's like we say goodbye, then we go outside. And anyway, I love you guys, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.